Sefer Ma'aser Rav from the Vilna Gaon, it says that he said a chiddush like this. The Gemara says that the reshus, that when something is called reshus, it doesn't necessarily. It could be it's a mitzvah. Lagabi choiv, it's called reshus. It's a mitzvah to eat matzah. So it's not stam a mitzvah. He was very medayik to eat matzah the entire Pesach. He was very medayik to eat matzah the entire Pesach because he said it's a mitzvah. So there is a beautiful maimah from the Mittel Rebbe in Sefer Amunah where he says, "Be'emes it's taka reshus, but it's much bigger than the matzah. The matzah we eat the last days is much bigger than the first days. Dafka because it's reshus, just like tefillas arvis reshus, and just like we don't make it brach and tefillin shadosh because tefillin shadosh is in a higher darga. So the same thing here. It's on a much higher darga. You know, they say that the Baal Shem Tov zok that from everyone we should learn. They say the Baal Shem Tov walked into a pundak a bar, a kretschma, and he saw two goyim. And one guy was shikah, Ivan, I love you. He said, you love me? I love you. I'll give you a kidney. You love me? Tell me what's bothering me. Tell me what's on my heart. Tell me what's on my heart. The Yidden loved the Rebbeinu Shalom. They know what's on his heart. He doesn't have to tell them. There's certain mitzvahs that the Yidden do. Tfilas arvis rishus, but it's higher than choiva. The matzah, the last days of Pesach is rishus. We don't make a bracha like tefillin sharosh. It's a bigger kedusha. It's something bigger. How do you quantify? What's bigger? What's the pshat? The bigger. So recently, my wife was at a certain forum. There was a doctor, a German doctor, that was speaking. And my wife texts me, she says, like, my skin is crawling. I mean, in general, when you meet a German, you know, you always wonder, wie bist du gewesen? You know, where were you or your parents 60, 70 years ago? So this German doctor is speaking, and my wife is wondering, you know, where were you? Where were you? There was a lot of Jews in the audience, and I guess at some point, this doctor felt compelled to explain who she is. So she said a story. She said when she moved from Germany, she moved to Baltimore. She tried to become friendly with all the neighbors on the block. And there was one neighbor she could never manage to reach. It was Dafka, the neighbor right next to her. There was a fence between the backyards, and the neighbor right next to her, she was a Jewish family. Never, they knock on the door, they ring the bell, they're busy, they can't, and nothing. And her daughter had a daughter the same age as a Jewish family, and she noticed that the kids sometimes go to the fence and talk, and they're becoming friendly. And the mother runs out to the backyard and grabs her kid and takes her back into the house. So it bothered her. But she realized what it was. It was a Jewish family, and she's German. So she insisted on meeting her neighbor. And she told her neighbor, I just want to tell you a story. She said that my father, she said, had a business in Berlin. He had a Jewish partner. When the Nazi party came to power, and when Jews were not allowed to have business, he took over the business entirely, but always gave half the profit to the Jewish neighbor, to the Jewish partner, I meant. When it got very dangerous, he hid his Jewish partner and the family and still kept on giving him the profits. Someone squealed, she said, on my father, and he was sent away to a labor camp till the end of the war. He survived the war, but he was in a camp. You know, sometimes you look on a person, you look on the outside, you know, so it's a very fine point when you practice what you preach or you don't practice what you preach. If you live a life that's incongruent or congruent, if it's in sync, if the things that you believe in, you really do. The whole world, they believe in humanity. The Jews were being sent in trains. They all looked the other way. Where Yad Vashem, you could count how many goyim. We're talking about from how many in Europe, from 300 million goyim, and we could count them on our hands. We could put them on 2 pieces of paper and 3 pieces of paper, the names. The Alter Rebbe explains, and this was a fundamental thing in the Alter Rebbe's Torah. The Gemara says in Brochas, Gamva pu machtarta rachmona karya, that the thief, when he's standing and he's digging a tunnel to go steal, he asks Hashem for his blessing. If you believe in God, God could provide. Why are you stealing? Why are you digging? Why are you digging? Why are you digging? We just learned now, and throughout Pesach, the Ilchas Geneva and Geneva Gzela Vaveda, which we finished today, first day of Pesach. It was interesting. We're talking about that the person that is not honest in business is koifa b'yitzias Mitzrayim. And the Rambam doesn't explain why, and the Mefarshim say because the pasuk says, when he says that you have to keep your midos, hin tzedek, efet tzedek, because I'm the Eibusha took you out of Mitzrayim, I'm an askeim. But al pidrush, it seems like it's simple. We're learning now Gemara Soita. For those that are learning tonight's Gemara, is that mida connect mida shoda moided la moided in loy, and the Soita, whatever she did, she gets the same thing, but in an opposite way. So the Mitzrayim, whatever they gave the Jews, they got an eye for an eye and a measure for a measure. The Yid has to trust in the Eibush that if you do the business not honest, not with a hin tzedek, efet tzedek, you don't believe in the Eibush that took us out of Mitzrayim and paid up the Mitzrayim with the 10 makkos and the 250 makkos, an eye for an eye. Mida keneged mida. We're asking the Ganav, what are you, if you believe in God, so then why are you stealing? Do you think you're going to make a penny more or a penny less by stealing? His life is totally incongruent. He believes in God, but he's lacking to bring it down in a pneumius. That's his problem. Chabad mon pneumius. He cannot bring his amuna down in a pneumius. And that's the whole inyan of Chabad mon pneumius, that this amuna should come down in a pneumius. The story of Rabbi Hillel Paritcher was a goin otzim. And we know that the Beis HaLevi went to ask Shilas. It was, besides the fact that he was a tzaddik, he used to take kvitlach, he was a goin otzim. And he used to come to Lubavitch, to his Rebbe, the Mittel Rebbe, and he used to go to the Mittel Rebbe, son-in-law Tzemach Tzedek. He could collect in his mind Shilas that he had the Meshech, the few months that he was not in Lubavitch. And he would go to talk to the Tzemach Tzedek, and he was always pleased that Tzemach Tzedek had go'inus mafliya and would answer Shaila, eina. You can lick your fingers. Once he was there for Pesach, and the Tzemach Tzedek invited him to have the Seder with him. In middle of B'derech Klal, we know that Tzemach Tzedek, and this is not the story we'll go into now, that Tzemach Tzedek didn't, throughout the years, never allowed anyone to be at his Seder, besides himself and his wife and his sons. But this was an exception. He was before he was a Rebbe, and he invited Rabbi Hillel to be with him at the Seder. In the middle of the Seder, when he was saying the Haggadah, he fainted. They tried whatever they could to revive him. They couldn't do anything. So quickly, the wife, Rebbetzin Chaim Mushka, ran upstairs to her father. Her father lived upstairs, and she said, Tata, my husband fainted. There's nothing to do. We can't revive him. So the Mittel Rebbe took out from his pocket a red handkerchief. He said, this is my father's handkerchief, the Alter Rebbe's handkerchief. Put it on his forehead and he'll wake up. She went down, she put it on his forehead, he woke up. He kept on saying the Haggadah. In other words, he went into such a slavus. Again, he fainted. And again, she ran up. She said, Tata. He fainted again. He said, don't worry, here. He gave her, he said, make sure you bring it straight back to me. So she went down, but this time it didn't help. When she came back to tell her father, the Mittler said, heintige junge Leid. As if, today's junge Leid, it's a little bit of extra and they're exploding, and a little more too much light and the vessels are exploding already. So he said, I'll go myself. He went downstairs, he put the handkerchief on the Tzemach Tzedek forehead, and the Tzemach Tzedek opened his eyes and he woke up. And then they continued the Haggadah. After that, the Hillel Paritcher realized that the Tzemach Tzedek, besides being a Gaon Otzum, they were not buddies. Maybe in Gaonis they understood each other, but he realized that the Kedushin, the Tzemach Tzedek, it was a different. From then on, he tried to avoid coming to the Tzemach Tzedek. If he came, he had such inner respect for the Tzemach Tzedek, he couldn't sit and argue with him. So he didn't visit him for so much. When the Mittler Rebbe passed away, it took 10 years till the Rebbe Hillel came to become a chassid of the Tzemach Tzedek. The chassidim explained. They said inner respect hat nicht gefällt. It wasn't that Rebbe Hillel didn't respect the Tzemach Tzedek. He had unbelievable respect for the Tzemach Tzedek. But Chabad, everything is pnimius. When he joined that Seder, and he saw the gewaltige Kedusha, the flame, the fire, he knew that he has to take it into a pnimius. Before the next time he's going to come to the Tzemach Tzedek and miskasher to connect as a chassid, he has to internalize all that he saw. Until he didn't internalize it, took him 10 years. But until it didn't internalize it, he didn't come again to the Tzemach Tzedek as a chassid. Sagt der Rebbe in Asicha Rachman from Pesach and Tov Shin Lamed Beis, that what is the matzah the first 2 nights of Pesach? Michla d'amnusa, michla d'asvasa. It's the bread of Amunah. Like a child, ein atenik yodea likra abba chitim tam dogan, that a baby can't say father, tati, abba, until he tastes a little bit of dogan, a little bit of grain. And in our case, it's the matzah. Ayid, it brings the Amunah in a pnimius. What happens? That it shouldn't be that his life is incongruent. It should be in sync with what we understand and what we believe, that our action should be behooved by our belief, by what we understand, but we know is true. But that is the first days of Pesach. So our actions are based on what we know is true. The last days of Pesach, it's much more than that. A person can do mitzvahs, he's involved in the mitzvah, he's learning Torah, he's now busy with the Ketzois, the Shagas Arya. You can forget about the Rebbeinu Shalom. The Gemara says in Makkos Daf Chavdala, the Gemara says that there was a lot of mitzvahs, 613, oh, so many mitzvahs. But Chavakuk said, you know what? One mitzvah, that's good enough. No, but it wasn't the reformed. They weren't mate, it wasn't mate things that are also. Like they say, the reformer and a rabbi is he's mevaka choyle semach neuflim reif choylem. He goes to the hospital, mater asurim, and then things that are also, he tells the congregants that it's mutter. That was not what Chavakuk did. Chavakuk said the 613 mitzvahs, a lot of mitzvahs. But it says when Yaakov got the good news, Vayisa Yaakov Raglav Nishanis Basa Besura Toiva, he could run, he could walk. When you're excited about something, 613 things are nothing. When a Yid has such a chayas, Namunas like the Alter Rebbe Tanya, when a Yid has such a simcha, he realizes the Eibush is close to him, all 613 mitzvahs becomes easy. And therefore, that's the inyan of the first difference of the first 2 days and the last 2 days of Pesach. First 2 days of Pesach is that Emunah should be bepnimius, that my Emunah should behoove my action. But there's still 613 mitzvahs. The last days, it's with such a chayas, such excitement, that all 613 mitzvahs is imbued with such chayas, that they're all as easy as one mitzvah. That's why Chabad, we're up all night in Shviyah Shel Pesach. This is a big job. The Eibush is al from L'chaim, that as we're in the last moments on Moisef Mechayla Lach Kodesh from Chag Pesach, that all of us should be able, this Amunah that we have, that every one of us have, that we should be able to bring into a pnimius, and that our action should be in sync with our Amunah. And not only that, that it should be with an unbelievable chayas, that all 613 should be a mitzvah achas. L'chaim, l'chaim.
Could we make l'chaim on mashke?
Yes, definitely could.
The goy, you sold the stuff to the goy already?
No. If it's that mashke, you can't. You have to wait. You'll see when the goy comes. I'm going to buy back the chametz, and as soon as you buy it back, you'll be able to take out the mashke.
Meanwhile, we're saying wine.
Meanwhile, you're saying wine.
Chaim.
Hayetzama lecha nafshi, hayekama lecha besadi. Be'eretz atzeya ve'yad b'lei moyim. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 la, la, di, ma, ay, 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 ay. I came back, Chazi. Sicha lirai suscha chavoidecha. Hina b'kodesh chazi sicha lirai suscha chavoidecha. Kodesh chazi sicha lirai suscha chavoidecha. Ya 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 ya. Ay 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 la da la da ya da da ya 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 ay 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 la da l'chaim l'chaim. What is the connection of Achron Shal Pesach to Moshiach? What's the connection of Achron Shal Pesach to Moshiach? So the Rebbe always said it's simple in Nigla the Torah that it's, if you look in today's Haftorah, the story is about Moshiach. By the way, it's interesting to point out, in that Ma'aser Av that I mentioned earlier, the Gra used to make on the last day of Pesach a Seuda Shlishis, a special Seuda, and he used to eat matzah. That was the union of the Baal Shem Tov. There was Megala that there should be a Seuda and it should be called Seudas Mashiach. And the Rabbi of Chabad added to it the four kaises, as we'll talk about this soon. What's the story of the Haftorah? In short, the story of the Haftorah is just one of the most compelling stories in Tanakh. Chizkiyahu Melech Yehuda is under siege in Yerushalayim. Sanchedav Melech Asher has 185,000 troops. And he sends messengers and they announce outside the gates of Yerushalayim, if you open up the gates and surrender, I will give you a land as good as your land. I will give you fields and vineyards as good as your fields. As I did with all the other tribes and with all other countries, I will move you to another country, and the inhabitants of the other country will come here. But if you refuse to open and surrender, will not finish the sentence. Rahman al-Islam, he would finish off every single Jew. Chizkiyahu goes to the Navi Yeshaya, incidentally his father-in-law, and he says, what does the Rebbeinu Shalom want? What should we do? Don't surrender. The Eibishter will do miracles.
All sorts of scenarios.
So now there were the backstabbers of Chizkiyahu. The Gemara says in Sanhedrin Daf Chavav, and they sent arrows with letters on it. Shevna, who was the Rosh Av Bezdin, stabbed him in the back and wrote a letter that we, in the cabinet of Chizkiyahu, we will assassinate him, we will overthrow him, and we will surrender Yerushalayim to you, Sanchedav. Could you imagine what kind of tremendous pressure Chizkiyahu Melech Yehuda is under?
Yes, I guess you could call
He's under tremendous pressure.
Go ahead.
And the Gemara says that night, which is the first night of Pesach, Chizkiyahu said, Rebbeinu Shalom, I have no koyach to fight, I even have no koyach to pray. I'm going to sleep. He went to bed and he fell asleep. And that night, as the Pesach said, Kileilis Kadesh Chag, Ashir Yirlachem Kileilis Kadesh Chag, we spoke about it in the Kol Yom Rishon before Pesach. That's where we learned that you're supposed to say Hallel. And that's how we say Hallel in davening. Also, the 2 nights of Pesach. The first night of Pesach, it was when the Jews were sitting at the Seder, and afterwards, when they were all sleeping, Chizkiyahu Melech Yehuda was sleeping, and all of a sudden, all of a sudden, 185,000 troops died. They all died. Next morning, they were dead, 185,000 troops. What is remarkable about this story? I remember when I was a child, and one of our mashpia, and he told us a story about Reb Zalman Aaron, the brother of the Rebbe Rashab. he said about his gadlus hamoich. It's a funny story, but it just stood out, and I can't forget it. That Reb Zalman Adam lived in a town, and like you take a match and give a scratch and no more candy store. So the old shtetl was that way, unfortunately. And it was the middle of the night. They woke him up and they said that the town is on fire. That's it. It's all over. They saved whatever svarim, whatever they have in the house. It's time for him to get up because that's it. He asked them, how long do they think the fire will reach till that fire will reach his bed? They said about 10 minutes. So he said, not a problem. He turned on the other side. He said, I'll wake up in 8 minutes. And he slept for another 8 minutes. Well, listen, the house is burning down anyway. There's nothing he could do about it. The town is burning down anyway. Could you imagine? How is Chizkiyahu sleeping in his own cabinet? They want to overthrow him. They want to assassinate him. There's 185,000 troops around Yerushalayim. And he's sleeping. He's sleeping a good sleep. Sagt der Rebbe, that is the ultimate of betochen. That is what betochen is all about. And that's why the Gemara says, Bikish HaKadosh Baruch Hu Lasas Chizkiyahu Melech Yehuda Moshiach V'Sanchedev Melech Asher Gog Magog. And the only reason he didn't, because he didn't sing Shira to the Eibshter. This schusness is Yidna Negolim B'schus HaBetochen. There is a landmark Sikha from the Rebbe in Lukuta Sikhas Chelik Lamed Vav, where the Rebbe says the story of Moshe Rabbeinu. That Moshe Rabbeinu comes out and he sees there was a story of Shloimeh's Bas Divri that the Egyptian went into and called her husband out to work at night. And at night he went into her bedroom and violated her. And next morning he tortured her husband. So when Moshe Rabbeinu saw that, he went and he killed the Mitzri. Next day he sees two people fighting, Dosan Vaviram. The Yalkaman lawyers has a funny thing. He says Dosan was her husband, Aviram was the father-in-law. They were fighting over a get. Be it as it may, one picked up his hand over the other, and Moshe Rabbeinu says, and he says, Halorgeni atoim kasher raktas hamitzri. Vayira Moshe vayomer ochen noida hadover. Moshe was scared. Rashi says, Kipshutoi. And then Vayishma Paroi, and he tried to kill him. What is the connection of the psukim? He was scared. And then Vayishma Paroi. Rebbe has a moiridik word. The Rebbe says that for the level of Moshe Rabbeinu, he shouldn't have been scared. He had no reason to be scared. Because he was scared, that's why Vayishma Paroi Vevakesh Lahareges Moshe. He wanted... The story was with the Baal Shem Tov, that the Baal Shem Tov once needed money for Pidyon Shvuim. So he went to a rich man's house and he knocked on the window and he walked away. And the rich man started running. He was running. And he said to Baal Shem Tov, you came to my house, you knocked on the window, what do you need? He said, I'm desperate for money for Pidyon Shvuim. How much money do you need? He told him. And he gave him the money. He said, Baal Shem Tov, I just want to ask you a question. You knocked on the window, walked away, but what did you expect to happen? The Baal Shem Tov said, a Yid has to do b'derech hateva. That's it. So I came, I knocked on your window. What else should I do? Should sit there and waste my time. I knocked on your window and I walked away. You see, you came running after me and you gave me the money. For the Baal Shem Tov, maybe for me and you it won't work. I don't suggest that you should try that at work, to come and knock on the door and go back home for the rest of the day. But something we take out of this. The Rebbe, there's a moiridik, the word, the nekuda, the sikh is based on the Chavis Lavovet, Kada Kemach, and the other big balei, Gedolei Yisrael, balei Musar, that the Rebbe says that bitochin and amuna are two separate things. Totally to the amuna, a person have amuna, but maybe the Eibishter has a plan that is, at least seemingly, is not so sweet. Bitochen means that a Yid could fall asleep by night. In the morning, he's not waking up with nightmares. But l'chayda, there's difficult things going on in his life, and there's decisions to make, and there's crushing guilt, and he can't sleep. He's waking up in the morning. How can he sleep? But this Yid could sleep. Why? Because Hashlech al Hashem Yehovcha v'hu yechal kelecha. Throw your whole package on the Eibishter. Like Chassidus says, v'hu yechal kelecha, he'll also make the keli. You don't even have the keli, the Eibishter will make the keli. Usually the Yid is to make the Hashlech al Hashem Yehovcha. Throw your package on the Eibishter v'hu yechal kelecha, the Eibishter will. This is not an easy thing to fall asleep, but to keep on sleeping when you have these crushing worries. B'zeh gufa, that a Yid is calm, and a Yid puts himself in the hands of the Eibishter, that schus itself makes it to be good, and that's the word of the Tzemach Tzedek, tracht gut vet sein gut. When a Yid thinks good, be'emes, and he has tranquility, be'emes, it becomes be'emes good. And that's the Emunah that comes into a way of bitochen that we learn from Chizkiyahu. And that's chus v'zoichet to Moshiach. As l'chayre, this story happened the first night of Pesach. Why we read this Haftorah the last day of Pesach? So the Rebbe says, Mekan Raya, that like the word of the Tzemach Tzedek, that the first days of Pesach is for the Geula out of Mitzrayim. The last day of the Pesach, we celebrate the Geula for Mashiach Tzidkenu, and that's why we don't say Shechiyonu, because but still it's not a Simcha Gluya. And we see it bepashtus that the Haftorah, the story of Chizkiyahu happened the first day, but we read it the last day. So therefore, L'chaim, that the Eibishter should help in the few minutes that are left to Pesach, that all of us should have a chizuk in the midas habitochen. Poshet that mezalkenen good schlafen by nacht. We should be sleeping good. If there's chad, first of all, we should not have any worries. But if chas v'sholom there is any worries that we worry about, that we should throw the whole package, the kitten caboodle, to the Rebbeinu Shalom. Vehu yachal kalecha, that he should make the keli. And b'meila, and that's the schusa b'tochin itself, where kedai should be tracht good v'zayin good. It should be good for all Yidden in the base of Menachem Mendel, and for all Yidden around the world. It should be big. Toiv anida v'anigla. Tak, it should be good, and it should be good. Tak bevias Mashiach tzidkenu. L'chaim, l'chaim.
Amen, l'chaim.
L'chaim, L'chaim Shmulik, L'chaim David, L'chaim Sassoon, L'chaim Peretz, L'chaim David, L'chaim. Hey ya ya da ya da ya da ya da ya ya oh ya 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 la da la da la da ya da ya da ya ya ay ya 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 oh ya la la da la la ya da da la la ya da la 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 ya da da hey la 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 hey 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 la ay ya 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 la 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 let it ya 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 la 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 hi la 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 hi la 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 my ya 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 ay ya 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 la 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 ya 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 ya
I heard from Rabbi Lau from Israel, the chief rabbi of Israel.
Yeah.
He said every morning we say Vayeshkam Avrom B'Boker. So everybody say he was in his dawah lemitzvah. Vayeshkam Avrom B'Boker right away. He said, no, you're missing the point. You know you're going to slaughter your son tomorrow. You're going to sleep? Avrom Avinu Vayeshkam Avrom Avinu B'Boker.
He was able to sleep at night. Unbelievable. L'chaim. L'chaim. We spoke about Emunah. We spoke about Bitochen. Let's talk now about Geula. L'chaim. We spoke in the first days before Pesach Shabbos HaGodel, usually we pick a theme. And this year, we spoke about transcending time and space. The story with the Lekutei Dibur, and the story with the Schwarze Klippe. The story with the Frierdiker Rebbe says that the biggest gift a chassid can have is the koyach hatziyur, to relive a moment with his Rebbe. Today it's not that hard. You could take the gem video and watch every week, 15 minutes. We give you 22 minutes. You'd give you. That's the same thing with here. You give gem 22 minutes, and they give you. You could transcend time and space and be with the Rebbe. We know that Yom Yom that a chassid is nishtelmed and a tzaddik is nishtelmed. From the Baal Shem Tov is nizgala that we're not elend, we're not alone, but we have to work on it. Before Gimel Tammuz it was easy. Now it's a little harder, but it remains true. It remains true. It remains exactly that way. That the chassid is nishtelend and the tzaddik is nishtelend. There was a story about a Pinchas Roizes. He used to go 4 times. I told a story in the Shabbos HaGodel Drosha about a Pinchas Roizes and the story about his mother-in-law, the rich mother-in-law with the chulu. So the story was about a Pinchas Roizes, that he used to come 4 times to the Alter Rebbe. One year was Shmini Atzeres and Chastoyre, and he was very sick. He couldn't travel. But by Shmini Atzeres, he felt a little better. So Chassidim came to his house and he fabrengt. All of a sudden, in the middle of the Fabrengen, he jumped up and he said, "Oi, Rebbe!" He said, "The Rebbe tracht for me. The Rebbe is thinking about me right now." And that was it. After Yom Tov, when the Yidden that came back from the Alter Rebbe, they said that it was a strange thing in the middle of the Fabrengen that the Alter Rebbe had in the end of Simchas Torah, the Shmini Atzeres. The Alter Rebbe said that the Pinchas Roizes darf abrochen. Was ich kann ihm nicht geben, aber was ich kann ihm geben, es soll sein gut und gebe ich ihm abrochen. I'm not saying exactly the words, but this was, whatever I can't give him, sort of the spiritual things which he has to work on his own, that he'll have to do on his own. But physically, should be healthy. This I give him a bracha, he should be healthy. The Chassidim figured out that this was exactly this man when Pinchas said, "Oi, Rebbe." They said, next they're gonna give him schmitz. Now they're gonna give him a good beating. Why? Pravit moivsim, roch kodesh. Up. They're gonna put him on the table, and they'll show him. They'll put him in his place. Just a moment, goy taka. Hello. Barry, you here? Okay, very good. Come in. There's someone who's going to open the door. You'll be able to come in. So he said, no.
The one is Mavosha?
Yeah. He said, when I came to the Rebbe the first time, I gave him my nefesh, and the second time my ruach, and my third time is neshama. It's no pella that we feel this way. We're in sync. The same thing is by us now. The chassid nishtelent and the Rebbe is nishtelent. And we're just going to pause for a moment, and we'll make l'chaim. Barry, thank you so much. Here, could you...
We could sing a niggin meanwhile.
Yeah, we could sing a niggin the viol if you want. You could see him Kev Tzirik Techametz.
Yamin Hashem Roimema, Yamin Hashem Oisachoil, Yamin Hashem Roimema, Yamin Hashem Oisachoil. Trina ya Moshi L'chaim, Moshi. In a few minutes we could make L'chaim and Mashke, Rabbi said. Right after we buy the chometz, we could make L'chaim and Mashke. And then when we make a samozon, we could say Yala v'yovo b'yom Chag HaMatzos.
And then we macha shulim.
Yemin Hashem Eroi Mema, Yemin Hashem Isachoyil, Yemin Hashem Eroi Mema, Yemin Hashem Isachoyil. Want to let me dig in him? Good appetite, David L'chaim. David Sabak L'chaim.
Do I came back with the comment?
Okay, I just bought back the chametz from the goy, but what happens is I got it from the Ort of Kablan, and the Ort of Kablan just gave me back the shtoris and also the keys that we gave to the goy. Mela, I'm going to give back to the Ort of Kablan his shtar, and he can rip it up, so there's no obligations against him. And the Eber shall helfen that. Yes, pleasure. A very big pleasure doing business. Thank you for being the Ort of Kablan. Thank you very much. Okay, so B'meila, if you want, you can now take out the chometz, you can take out the mashke, and we could now continue Fabrengen on mashke. L'chaim. B'meila, the Indian is like this. Poshet. The Baal Shem Tov told us about Seudas Moshiach. The Rebbe says that the Rebbeim in Chabad were moisif the Indian of the four koises. The four koises was, the Rebbe says, in the year Tofresh Samach Vav. That year, you remember there was a book, Lubavitch V'Chayaleh. Levi Yerzaid is in that book. They had they put together all the original Tmimim in the. And there's a foreword to the book. There's this description of that Tofresh Samach Vav. That was the first year that Rebbe Rashab instituted the four koises of wine for Seudas Moshiach. The Rebbe explains why. The Baal Shem Tov said is Megala that every Yid has an neshama, and even a ish poshet could do and could get close to the Rebbeinu Shalom. But a chayis and a geshemak in the Avodas Hashem, that comes through the Rebbe Rashab, and especially in the year Tofresh Samach Vav, when he started the long Maimorim Molor It's Deis Hashem Kemaim Le'Machazin, the long Maimorim in Chasidus. So therefore, and in that year is when he was, because till then Seudas Moshiach consisted of matzah. Matzah has no time. But in Tofresh Samach Vav, in the year there was Megala the Hemshech, that's when he started the four koises of wine. The Rebbe in Tovshin Lamed Beis was 70 years of the Rebbe's birth, which now is incidentally 70 years of the Rebbe's Nasias. The Rebbe was moisef, an interesting thing to Seudas Moshiach. The Rebbe said, we should just like the first days we ask for kashas. Also the last days we should ask for kashas. We should ask for kashas. I ask you, what kind of four kashas should we ask? I think it's very clear to everyone what kind of four kashas. We have really boils down to one kasha. Why is it that we're sitting by Seudas Moshiach and we're still in New York? Why are we not in Yerushalayim Yer HaKodesh? There's many other kashas that we have, but like the Pesach says today, Oitcha Hashem ki anafta, definitely the Eibishter is going to answer us in a way that we'll understand, and we'll have an answer for all the questions. But the ikir is we don't want to wait any longer. We want to have the Geula Mitzvah Shleima. The Indian is that the first days of Pesach, we transcend time and space, and we could live with a tzaddik, we can live with a memory that happened 20 years earlier or 30 years earlier. But the Zok that happened the last days of Pesach, we could transcend time and space to live ahead of us in the times of the Geula Amitis Vashlema. And that is not an easy thing to do. Because you can close your eyes, you can concentrate, you could relive an episode, you could relive getting $1 from the Rebbe, having Yechidus, you could watch a video, but to visualize the future of Bias Mashiach Tzidkenu, that's not easy. That you got to do with a Samach Vav, that you could do with a Lakutei Torah. That's not an easy thing to do. But that is our job to do. Part of our job to bringing Mashiach is in Geula is that we transcend time and space, but bring it back into time and space. Mekadesh Yisrael v'Azmanim, the whole middle bracha, we spoke about the Chidush and the Alter Rebbe, Simatov Peizayin, The whole Chiddush is Mekadosh Yisrael, that the Yidden bring Kedusha into Zman. When we transcend time and space and go into a place of Lichtigkeit, of light and beauty, we bring it back into the time and space when we come back in the time and space. And that's Be'emes what happens in Yom Tov. Yom Tov, we transcend time and space, especially this Yom Tov Pesach. There was no constraints. Everyone sat at home. And we get davened. There was no. You could daven till 1 o'clock, till 2 o'clock, till 3 o'clock. I know I spoke to so many people who told me, Rabbi, we never davened so geschmack in our life. One person told me he took with translation, and for the first time in his life, he understood what he's saying, the words he's saying. I'm sure everyone in Chabad that gedaven geschmack, we transcend time and space on Yom Tov. But now after Yom Tov, we get to washing the dishes and packing it away. We come back, we come back from space. We come back to earth. And but the Nekuda is that the Kedusha and the Chayas that we got while we transcend time and space and we connect with Seudas Moshiach, with the feeling of that Mashiach is a real thing and Geula is a real thing, and Mola Odes Deus Hashem Kamayim Le'amachasim is a real thing. That all this, when we come back into time and space, we bring that Kedusha Mekadosh Yisrael Vazmanim. We bring it back. We bring it back in a way that our kids feel it. That's in Pesach, that we deal with the 4 children. Not only the Ben Chochem, but even the Ben that's the opposite, and the Tom and Shani the Elishon, that Rebbe says the 5th child, that we push it, we bring it back in a way that it's sweet to our children, sweet to our Kinderlach, and very sweet to them, that they feel the sweetness of Mola Oretz Deis Hashem Kamayim Le'amachasem L'chaim, that from this Yom Tov we should take that this experience that we had, transcending time and space and feeling the geschmack of the 4 koises, the shmak of Geula, that we bring it back into time and space. And the Eibusha shall helfen through doing all this that we spoke about tonight, working on our emunah, that it should be in sync, that we shouldn't chas v'shalom live a life that's incongruent with our emunah. And the second thing, through betochen, that we're working on our betochen, that we could sleep while hashlach Hashem gehovcha. And number 3, through transcending time and space and feeling geula and bringing it back into time and space, that taka we should be zoiche, not only to feel the geula while we're in Golus, but taka to have the geula amitas v'ashleima takeoff from Yad Mamash. And since this is one big Chol HaMoed, so by the time Chol HaMoed is over and we're Chag HaShavuos, will already be in Yerushalayim Ir HaKodesh, Bebinyan Beis HaMikdash HaShlishi, and by then we're going to hear a Maimer, just like the Rebbe's Maimorim, which used to be Lekovid Matan that we should hear it, the Maimer from the Rebbe, Torah Chadoshem Iti Teitze. L'chaim, l'chaim, l'chaim.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you.
We're now going to sing the Achonenigen, and then we're going to sing the Dalet Bobis of the Alter Rebbe. Please, everyone, join us. You don't have to be unmute yourself. Ya 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 Chaim Shmuel David. Chaim Sarah. Eliato. L'chaim. Now we're going to bench. Maybe shall help that we should be able to bring. We should bring everything that we verbringed about tonight. We should bring into life, into poil mamish, tapora de placha, and we should be zoiche take tapora de placha to be zoiche to be as Moshiach tzkein. L'chaim.
Einem Makir Magalos.
Yes. Yes. L'chaim, Alex, l'chaim, Sarah, l'chaim, Yaakov, and Yitzchak. L'chaim, Livrocha.
Are you asking, did you miss the Omer? Did you miss Moshiach? Huh?
Truly.
No, we have
I don't see any.
It's probably not even too early.
A gute Woche and a mazel dike Woche. Tomorrow, please, if you'd like to join us, we're starting the Maimer and Parshas Emes, Fartem Lechem Mochris to Shabbos and Lekutei Torah at 11 o'clock tomorrow. And in Mitzvah, I hope tomorrow I'll get a chance to send out a message Lekovid Shabbos. and then we'll see what the schedule is. The Eibishter help, and we shouldn't have to make schedules and plans. It's not kedai. Mensch trachten Gott lacht. The Eibishter should make that this time we should laugh, because Oit Hashem can have to be with Kula Mitzvah Shlema the Mashiach Tzidkenu. L'chaim, l'chaim.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you.
Chaim, l'chaim.
Sfirat HaOmer.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Shulim.
Okay, everyone, Davis, like the Rebbe used to finish the Fabrengen, Davis noch nicht gemacht, a Broch HaChanoine, wird sich gemacht, a Broch HaChanoine. Remember to do Birchas HaMozen, and then Ma'ariv and Sfiras HaOmer. Sazon, thank you for joining us as usual. Thank you, Yoel, for organizing it. And again, tomorrow, L'chaim to the Fagel family. I don't know everyone that's here. I don't see you. But L'chaim, Ma'omer Kalei, all a basement, Achemendel, all of Klal Yisrael. It should be Mamish, Toy, Vanida, Vanudla, and every prat. L'chaim. L'chaim. Look, everyone in packing up the Pesach. Don't worry too much. By next year, we're gonna need all kind of different dishes to do the carbon Pesach and stuff. So don't worry about it. L'chaim, a gute Nacht.
Let's bring a little more.
What?
Let's bring a little more. The wife will finish it.
L'chaim. Thank you for all the hard work they did in Pesach, and for the fabulous work they did in Pesach. Also, muss gehalten von uns. A good Nacht.
I start working house also.
Oh yeah?
Because I'm eating all the time.
They don't be number 105 driver.
Yeah, good. Guten Moed, guten Woch. Und Eber soll helfen, soll sein die Geula Mitzvah Shlema. Am Yisrael have no fear. Moshiach will be here this year. Am Yisrael have no fear. Moshiach will be here this year. We want Moshiach now. We want Moshiach now. We want Moshiach. We don't want to wait. We want Moshiach now. We don't want to wait. Good. Gute Nacht. We hebben het nog niet gemaakt. De Broch HaChanoine. Zich gemaakt. De Broch HaChanoine. We zullen maken. De Broch HaChanoine of the Golos. Call to. Gute Nacht. Na guten Tomit.
Shulim.
Shalom, Rav Davis.
Really fly the door down.
Shulim.
I'll show you the video.
Where is it?
L'chaim.
L'chaim, everybody. L'chaim.
L'chaim and Shulim.
L'chaim לכולם.
Shulim.
How are you watching it? When did Michael Jordan's jersey get stolen? This is the video.
Hey! Chaim Sasson.
L'chaim.
Chaim. Barrett. Chaim.
L'chaim, כל עם ישראל.
I think so. We don't wanna wait.
What is that sound?
But Shu had a thing.
You wanna bring me the ukulele?
We don't wanna wait.
Everything in that purple
Hi guys.
Hey, Sarah.